In this video, I'll be talking to you about how the Red Lantern Corps came to be and why fans love them so much. In 1994, with the removal of Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern and his replacement at the hands of Rayner, DC had found the fan reaction among Hal Jordan fans following this decision was one of intense negativity. While Rayner would go on to introduce a new generation of readers to the Green Lantern mythos, many previous readers felt betrayed. Seeing Hal Jordan, arguably the most iconic Green Lantern, depicted in a manner that caused him to succumb to fear, lose his sanity, and eventually die. While DC made multiple attempts to correct this depiction of Hal Jordan and shine his death in a more favorable light, DC's unwillingness to return him to the position of the premier Green Lantern in their continuity maintained this line of separation between hardcore Hal Jordan fans and their willingness to buy into this new line of titles. As a result, with sales in a decline following Rayner introduction, in 2004, Geoff Johns was brought on board in an effort to launch a campaign that would help to restore Hal Jordan to the DC landscape as the premier Green Lantern. From this end, Geoff Johns began taking steps to expand the Green Lantern mythos. Over the course of a series of stories, they're now known as a Geoff Johns Green Lantern epic. In a 2013 interview with Kelly Book Resources, following the conclusion of his run on the Green Lantern series, Geoff Johns had stated that his inspiration for launching this new series of stories had its roots in his personal experiences, as well as the events surrounding September 11, 2001. With much of the United States gripped by fear following this event, as well as the personal ramifications for him, Geoff Johns took to using the Green Lantern series as an outlet for his feelings and perceptions of the power of emotion and self-analysis. Beginning with the introduction of the Blackest Night prophecy, revealing of a war between all lanterns of the emotional spectrum, Geoff Johns took the next step of establishing Green Lanterns being powered by willpower, and with the Sinestro Corps being powered by fear. These groups existed as only part of the emotional spectrum. Alongside these two previously established teams, exist new groups of Lantern Corps, consisting of the Blue Lanterns powered by hope, the Orange Lantern powered by greed, the Indigo Lanterns powered by compassion, the previously existing Star Sapphires powered by love, the White Lanterns powered by life, the Black Lanterns powered by death, and finally, the Red Lanterns powered by rage. Since the origins of the Red Lanterns were initially provided over the course of Geoff Johns' original run, also having received their own solo series with the New 52, also noting that their origin doesn't seem to change from the original, I'm going to reference Red Lanterns issue number 0, as well as several other sources in order to establish this complete backstory within the course of the pre-New 52 and the New 52 continuities. Here we're told the Red Lantern Corps history predates the Green Lantern Corps itself, also stating that when the Guardians of the Universe had launched their campaign to provide a police force for the cosmos, their first attempt created robotic manhunters designed to serve this purpose. But now that it's served by the Green Lanterns, a programming glitch occurred, causing the Manhunters to believe that in order for peace to exist in the universe, it would have to be devoid of all life. Beginning a conquest of various planets, their efforts eventually led them to Sector 666, attacking the planets and killing virtually all occupants. The Manhunters left, failing to realize that 5 individuals had survived the massacre, one of which was a being named Atrocitus. Fueled by rage over the loss of their races, their friends, and their families, they were under the belief that the Guardians of the Universe are responsible. Lacking leadership, the group elected Atrocitus to oversee their operations. Undertaking the name of the 5 Inversions, the group spent centuries waging war against the Guardians of the Universe, destroying countless manhunters in their quest. The group establishes what's called the Empire of Tears, an affiliation of worlds powered by their rage and hatred of the Guardians. Eventually, manipulating and becoming romantically involved with one of the other 5 inversions, Atrocitus learns the power of the blood prophecy, the ability to kill others and use their blood in a manner that allows him to glance into the future. Capturing one of the Guardians and killing him, Atrocitus puts this magic to use by peering into the future. Seeing the other members of the 5 inversions dead, with himself atop an ocean of blood. Realizing that the prophecy is telling him of his ascension to power, Atrocitus kills the 5 inversions. Collecting their power unto himself by way of a blood magic ritual, he forms a red power battery, the source power for the Red Lantern Corps. With this newfound power, Atrocitus sends rings throughout the universe, Similar to the other ranks of power, the Red Lantern rings select those best suited to wield them. However, due to the basis behind the creation of the Red Power Ring, it seeks out those whose hearts are filled with rage. As described to us, when an individual accepts and falls under the power of a Red Lantern ring, virtually all semblance of their former selves are erased. Driven by their rage on a mind-consuming level, most wielders of the Red Lantern rings are virtually mindless, casting aside all sense of morality and decency to defeat their various foes. Now, at this point, I do want to take a moment to talk about something that I think really encapsulates the identity of the Red Lanterns. It's their oath. If you're someone who's new to the Red Lanterns and you haven't looked up their oath yet, I'm just going to tell you right now that you are not prepared for what you're about to read. And I mean that in the best possible way, because while the Green Lanterns have their oath, and even the Sinestro Corps has their oath, these oaths are designed to reflect the values and the emotional core of their respective corps. What the Red Lanterns have is something else entirely. And I'll just say this, if you don't know the Red Lantern Oath, just go ahead and look it up, but understand that this is not the kind of oath you're going to be reciting to your kids at bedtime. This is not something you put on a motivational poster. This is raw, visceral, and aggressive, in such a way that genuinely makes you feel like the person saying it has absolutely nothing left to lose and everything to destroy. And I think that's what makes it so perfect for the Red Lanterns. Because the oath isn't just words, it's a declaration. It's a statement of intent from beings who have been pushed past every conceivable breaking point. And what broke them, you ask? The Red Ring. And they are now operating purely on the kind of rage that most people will thankfully never experience in their lives. So when you eventually look it up, and I highly recommend that you do, just know that it's going to hit differently than any other core oath in the entire emotional spectrum. And that alone tells you everything you need to know about what the Red Lanterns represent. Now, getting back to the larger picture of the Red Lantern Corps and their place within the Green Lantern continuity, one of the more fascinating elements introduced during Geoff Johns' run and carried forward into the New 52 solo series was the exploration of what it actually means to be a Red Lantern on an individual level. And this is where things get really interesting from a storytelling perspective, because while we've established that most Red Lantern ring bearers are essentially reduced to mindless vessels of rage, there are exceptions to this rule, and those exceptions tend to produce some of the most compelling character arcs in the entire Lantern mythology. The most notable example of this, of course, is Atrocitus himself, who, having formed the Red Battery and being the originator of the Corps, retained a level of cognition and cunning that set him apart from his fellow Red Lanterns. This allowed Geoff Johns and subsequent writers to use Atrocitus not simply as a villain or an antagonist, but as a morally complex figure, whose grievances, while expressed through extreme and often horrifying violence, were nonetheless rooted in genuine injustice. The Guardians of the Universe, through the failure of the Manhunters, did in fact destroy Sector 666, and the blood of those worlds is very much on their hands. And so when Atrocitus stands in opposition to the Guardians, it's difficult to dismiss him entirely as simply a monster, because the core of his rage is something that readers can understand and even sympathize with, even if they cannot condone his methods. And that tension between understandable motivation and extreme action is really at the heart of what makes the Red Lanterns such an enduring and beloved part of the Green Lantern universe. Furthermore, what the New 52 solo series managed to do particularly well was expand this idea of individual identity within the Red Lanterns, by introducing the concept that a Red Lantern could in fact have their cognitive functions restored through exposure to the blue light of hope. This became a narrative device that allowed writers to explore the backstories and personalities of various Red Lantern members, and in ways that wouldn't have been possible had they remained purely instinct-driven creatures of rage.
This opened the door to characters like Bleez, whose story of personal violation and tragedy gave readers a much more intimate understanding of how someone arrives at a point where a red ring finds them worthy. And these individual stories of injustice and loss serve to reinforce the thematic underpinning of the entire Corps, which is that rage does not exist in a vacuum. Rage is always a response to something, and in many cases, that something is a failure of the systems and institutions that were supposed to protect people in the first place. Which, given the context of the Guardians and the Manhunters, and the entire foundation of the Green Lantern mythology, is an extraordinarily resonant theme. So following the introduction of the Red Lantern Corps, fans immediately latched onto the idea.
Where the history of the Red Lantern continuity has largely consisted of battles between the Green Lantern Corps and Sinestro Yellow Lantern Corps, with occasional appearances by the Star Sapphires, fans welcomed the idea of a more expansive continuity involving a multitude of new Lantern Corps. In addition to this, the existence of the Red Lanterns as a result of past failures regarding the Guardians of the Universe provided a richer continuity. Previously, the failures of the Guardians largely involved their casting out of Hal Jordan, or else the byproduct of their strict standards of universal perception. With the Red Lanterns, however, this capitalized on the idea that the failures of the Guardians had far-reaching consequences, affecting not just themselves, but the universe as a whole. Furthermore, the Red Lantern Corps, driven by rage and being introduced as the antithesis to the Green Lantern's willpower, provided readers with battles of discipline versus mindlessness. And with the Red Lanterns consisting of beings not constrained by concepts like morality, these battles took a break away from the tradition of foes pummeling one another with hard light constructs, and instead often introduced bloody fights with former members of the Green or Sinestro Lantern Corps falling from grace, choosing to join the Red Lanterns themselves. And at the end of the day, that's really what separates the Red Lanterns from nearly every other group in the Green Lantern universe. They are a corps born not out of ambition or ideology, or even a desire for power, but out of pain. And that is something that, regardless of where you are or what you're reading, has a way of connecting with people on a level that is very difficult to manufacture. With that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the flip side.